Airports can be a hub for one of the fastest growing crimes in Canada, human trafficking. Victims are forced from city to city by traffickers who are exploiting them for profit and trying to evade police. But now there's a push to keep what's often referred to as modern day slavery from taking off. Billy Bishop in Toronto's downtown is one of several airports across the country, from Vancouver to Halifax, that's teaming up with Not in My City. The Calgary-based organization working to prevent, disrupt, and end sexual exploitation and trafficking was founded by Alberta-born musician Paul Brandt.
Hey, I'm a country music singer, and I'm talking with chiefs of police and politicians and people who are working on the front lines with human trafficking victims and survivors. And sometimes I kind of scratch my head, too.
Brandt was stirred to act after seeing the devastating effects human trafficking can have during a trip to Cambodia.
I came back to Canada and started to do research and learn more about how this is a huge issue here in our own country. 95% of trafficking victims in Canada are Canadian. Average age of first being trafficked in Canada is 13 years old. 4% of the national population are Indigenous, but Indigenous people represent over 50% of trafficking victims in Canada.
But it's an issue that can affect anyone, he adds. And frontline airport staff are in a position to possibly spot those who are being victimized by looking for signs, like noticing someone isn't being allowed to speak by their travel partner, and then alert authorities.
It's a problem around the world that airports continue to deal with. They're really part of the supply chain transportation component of that activity, which is what we want to continue to disrupt.
That's why RJ Steenstra, president and CEO of Ports Toronto, the owner and operator of Billy Bishop, says dozens of airport workers attended a training session this week with the Toronto Police Service Human Trafficking Unit in collaboration with Not in My City.
We have a responsibility to be as good a neighbor and partner in the community.
Most people, when they hear about trafficking, their response is not in my city. That doesn't happen here. That's what they think. Once they realize that it is something that's very prevalent here in Canada, they say, not in my city. I'm not going to let this happen.
That's the inspiration for the name of the organization, notinmycity.ca, for more info. And anyone in Canada can call the Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline. And that's at 1-833-900-1010 if they believe they witnessed or are experiencing human trafficking or sexual exploitation. Melissa Duggan, City News.